Welcome to all to the new series of lectures on your core course 8 critical theories. Today we will be discussing the topic feminism, which is your unit number 2B. Before moving on to Virginia Woolf's A Room of One's Own, it is necessary that you should know what is feminism, because A Room of One's Own is considered to be a seminal work of Virginia Woolf on feminism. In fact, it is one of the basic texts with which the origin of feminism is started, the first voice of women against the injustices that are meted out to women. So we should begin with the definition of feminism. Feminism is a range of social movements, political movements, and ideologies that aim to define, establish, and achieve the political, economic, personal, and social equality of sexes. Now, if you deconstruct this sentence, you will find that women are fighting for or protesting against injustice, born out of the desire to acquire equality of sexes. That means that there has been unequal treatment of sexes that led women to register their protest against the injustice. So feminism is not just about one age, one place, or one era. Feminism is since the very beginning, since the stories, since the myths of Adam and Eve. And it has been continuing in various subtle forms till now. Feminism is just not about Africa, America, or India. It is about everywhere where gender exists. In social, cultural, political spheres as well as economic sphere, women have been lagging behind men throughout the years. So feminism began in Europe in 90s, 20s, and before 1920s also it existed, but in a very subtle form. In India also it has been there since very early age, but patriarchy had subdued the voices, the feminist voices which existed. Now, when we are talking of feminism, when we are talking of equality, it is obvious that there must have been some factors which led to the inequality. All these factors which led to the inequality towards women are born of patriarchy. What is patriarchy? Now, patriarchy is a social system in which men hold primary power and predominate in roles of political leadership, moral authority, social privilege, and control of property. Some patriarchal societies are also patrilineal, meaning that property and title are inherited by the male lineage. For example, in India, most of us have most of the cultures, states, and families have patrilineal societies. That means when a child is born, the title he acquires is of the father, not of the mother. That means patriarchy is linearly bequeathed to the child. If the father is of the title Rai, the child which is born will take the title of Rai, not the title of the mother. In fact, after marriages, the wife also take the title of the husband. That means this is a patrilineal society. Now there are some states, some places like in some areas of northeast, you have matrilineal societies where the child which is born takes the title of the mother. Those are matrilineal societies, but such societies are very less now. Feminism was not an overnight movement. It took years and years and hundreds of years for the whole of the body of feminism to emerge. And if one thinks that feminism as a movement will stop on one point after some years, or maybe that women have acquired everything by rule, by law, so the feminist movement will stop, it is not so. Feminism will exist till gender exists, and gender will exist till human beings exist. Now, when you go through the feminism in Europe, you will find that there were 4 waves of feminism. The history of the modern Western feminist movement is divided into 4 waves. The first wave, the second wave, the third wave, and the fourth wave. The first wave began from 1880s to 1920s to 1960s. The second wave began with the publication of The Feminine Mystic by Betty Friedan. The third wave began from 1990, the decade of 1990s, when Rebecca Walker published her article. And then there was fourth wave, which began around 2012 in the tech-savvy world, which was more concerned about how to combat sexual harassment, violence against women, and rape culture. And then there were various movements on the social networking sites like Me Too movement, hashtag. There were so many movements in India as well as abroad, which we will be dealing with one by one in the next series of lectures. Now, there are so many kinds of feminism. At the outset, when you hear the word feminism, जिसको कि आप स्त्रीवाद भी कहते हैं, तो आपको लगता होगा कि it is just feminism, it is स्त्रीवाद in which the women fight for the right of the women, or the nowadays, in fact not only nowadays, earlier also men and women fought for the rights of the women. It is not that only women fight for the rights of women. If you go through the annals of history, you will find that there have been various men who have fought for the rights of women. In fact, in India, feminist movement started with men rather than women. Now we'll see what are various kinds of feminism. You have liberal feminism, you have radical feminism, then you have black feminism, ecofeminism, Marxist feminism, transnational feminism, cultural feminism, equity feminism, socialist feminism. We'll be dealing with some of the feminisms, not all. Now, what is liberal feminism? Liberal feminism was the earliest of the feminisms. That is when feminism started with Mary Wollstonecraft in 1792. In 1792, she wrote A Vindication of the Rights of Women, in which she rejected the established view that women are naturally weaker or inferior to man. Because earlier it was believed that because women are inferior physically, so they are inferior, and that inferiority also carries on to their intellectual capacity and other kind of capacities. So this was liberal feminism with Mary Wollstonecraft in A Vindication of the Rights of Women. Then there was Margaret Fuller, who extended her concerns with gender roles and unequal power relations to classes. Then you have Virginia Woolf. Remember Virginia Woolf, which is mentioned in your course, She was a liberal feminist. Then you have Simone de Beauvoir, whose Second Sex is a very canonical text in the history of feminism. Then you have radical feminism. Radical feminism. Radical feminism implies it is a movement that believes sexism is so deeply rooted in society that the only cure is to eliminate the concept of gender completely. Actually, radical feminists were too radical in their thoughts. They maintained that the traditional dichotomy maintains men as economically in power over women, and therefore the traditional family structure should be rejected. Radical feminist is the most extreme form of feminism. After radical feminism, you should know what is socialist feminism. Socialist feminism and Marxist feminism have a very thin line of difference between them, though they share some very common concerns. Socialist feminism is a movement that calls for an end to capitalism through a socialist reformation of our economy. Basically, socialist feminism argues that capitalism strengthens and supports the sexist status quo because men are the ones who currently have power and money. Black feminism. Black feminism was a response by black feminists who believed that they are not only being suppressed by white men and the black men, rather they are also suppressed by the black women. It started from the belief and the anger that white women generalized feminist concerns and believed that what they are saying about the sufferings of women applies to all the women. Whether a woman is a black woman or a white woman, all suffer from the same injustices. But it was not so actually. Black women were more oppressed by patriarchy than the white women. And black feminists were basically against the generalization of the injustices by white women. Then you have another